I
just posted, so we'll
connecting?
see.
Yes. Always takes a minute. Yep. People, hi guys. Let us know if you can hear us by saying hi in the chats and saying you can hear us, which would be good. It takes a minute. Hi, Greta. Yes, all the smiley faces. Hello, Lily. Oh goodness. Now, yeah, now everyone's like, okay, all the stuff's coming in. Okay, I'm hearing someone's cat. That's hysterical. And that's your cat, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, awesome.
All right, delay's not too bad. I have about 4 seconds, so.
Adam?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's not too bad. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Let's filter in here. We can all hear Cat's cat being very loud. Ira, I don't know if I'm saying it's Ira. I'm not sure if I'm saying that long. Adam's going to give us an hour today. And the cat Sunflower is rightfully joining us. Oh, Felicia, thank you so, so much. That is just lovely. We're really super excited to talk to you. I've had a chance to just talk to Adam just for half an hour, me and Cat have, and he is a doll. Lily wants to take over the live stream like she did with Edward last time
Do
when
it,
I
Lily.
lost complete ability to speak.
Hi, Greta. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, so guys, I know I love hearing the kitty too. So how we're gonna do it, sort of like how we did it with Edward last time. For those of you who were here, you can ask questions to myself, Kat, or Adam in the chat. Adam's so kindly agreed to give us an hour of his day. So you can ask him about his characters, acting. Obviously, if he doesn't want to answer, he won't. But he's just such a great guy, and he's going to do his best. So, Cersei's Land, I'm so glad you're here, because I mean, you make me feel like a queen. When I see your comments, I love seeing all your comments, man. So I love a lot of people love your voice. Hey, Balian. I'm so glad that you guys showed up for the live stream. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so Ruby asks, is there going to be more than 15 chapters on Spotify? Yes, there will be. The entire, well, okay, so talking points. It's in the description. Um, just like with, thank you, by the way, thank you very much for the super chats. These are amazing, you guys. Uh, how this is going to work and how we've done it in the past for Dragon's Reign. We are going to post as much as we can publicly. However, YouTube, Spotify, all of them do not allow the sexy stuff, which I had thought since it's just oral. This is going to sound wrong, but it was just oral. It was fine. It is not fine.
They got to draw the line somewhere.
So,
It's just
those,
oral.
yeah. So
It doesn't count.
it doesn't count. So those, so what we're gonna do is those chapters will be edited and all that material taken out. We will alert you each and every time that's coming. However, the full, uncut, uncensored stuff will be available if you join up as a Raythe Rain member or you purchase the audiobooks on our shop. Um, I do in the description down below have links to everything so you can sign up as a member right now and you can sign up and you could purchase the book, ebook, or hardback right now to support us and the podcast and to have amazing actors like Adam work with us.
And let me
Wow.
tell you, it is worth it to get past the paywall. Those scenes are steamy.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent.
I really enjoy reading them. I really do. Not to go into too much detail, but I do.
Oh yes, I'm so glad. Well, I'm sure they're gonna have questions about that, man. So we have a question here from Nathaniel. Where did you get your ideas for Everdark and Everdark Academy? This is really an interesting one because unlike Dragon's Reign, where I really had a solid idea, I've been thinking a lot about that. Like, why did I think of, especially the Everdark setup with Julian and Damon, where quite frankly, where they're not together, where it's not that typical vampire romance, where they meet one another and then they're immediately like, they're having to push and pull of the sensual push and pull of vampires. Instead, they're immediately pulled apart with Damon not even wanting to talk to Julian, right? And Julian saying, I don't need you anyway. And by the way, I think people like you killed my parents. So that's not a romantic setup at all. But I think it was just my fascination for this idea of the Everdark, of this, basically this tomb of pale white stone under these beautiful moons, and like this man lying on top of a sarcophagus asleep, almost like Sleeping Beauty. And that's sort of this idea of where it started, like this idea of the Everdark and of a sleeping vampire. So that's sort of where that came from. But it definitely, if I were to have sculpted it out, I would not have started it that way. So, Bryce, I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. Let's see here. We really just love I'm trying to like scroll through to get to questions, and there is a question for Adam coming up in 1 second. Sierra asks, "Oh, did you mean to put EOS behind the paywall?" Yes, Sierra, it is going to. It we did put it behind the paywall. We opened it up for people during the very beginning of the pandemic, and at that time we wanted to give people just some happiness and some taste of something, but we did not ever intend for it to be open for 2.5 years. We didn't hope the pandemic lasted this long, but it did. So when we came back to realize that we were going to have to do things like have the sexy chapters of EOS also put on Raythe Rain, it made sense to just take it behind the paywall. So for those of you who are listening for free, I sincerely hope that after 100 chapters that you enjoy the story enough that you would want to invest the money in. There's a 99 cents coupon if you sign up for our mailing list. If you've used that and you have to do full freight, I sincerely hope that you feel that we've earned your $9.95. So that's where we're at with that. Okay. Adam.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you see the question up by Bria's sketchbook, it's more like a wonderful like compliment. So I asked you this once because you have to play the two love interests just like Edward does. How did you basically make them sound so different? Do you think of them differently in your head, or how did you do that?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying this. That means a lot because I get very self-conscious listening back to it. When I hear my own voice, all I hear is my own voice. So I initially was like, "Oh no, I don't think I'm doing enough to differentiate these characters." But there is a bit of a story here. So when I initially auditioned to play both of these roles, I think initially, I think I was cast to just play Christian, and then came back, um, and tried a few different voices for Julian. I, as a voice actor, tend to do more narrative and commercial stuff, so I don't have a huge wheelhouse of dialects or accents or any of that kind of thing. I love doing character stuff, but there are people who are so proficient at that type of voice acting. Edward, for example. And I really admire them. So, but for me, it is a little bit of a stretch. So the Christian voice kind of came more naturally to me. The Julian one, I tried a few things, and what we ended up settling on, which is really driven by who Julian is as a character, who's this kind of headstrong, maybe more type A, more emotional, kind of has higher
Mhm.
highs and lower lows than Christian. We kind of landed on this kind of vaguely southern. I almost modeled it on Matthew McConaughey in those Lincoln commercials
Yeah.
initially, and I obviously can't achieve that kind of level of rasp, but it's my kind of kick at the can at doing that type of direction. And it did, to my ear now, the characters are still evolving, I find, as we record more of the show. But yeah, that was kind of the basis. I tend to, when I'm doing accents, I have a pretty good ear for accents. So when I can listen to a source, I can emulate it pretty well. But if asked to just do an accent out of my own head, that is a feat for me that I often can't rise to.
Was funny because when I was trying to tell Edward how badly I was not able to do one of these characters was Russian, he says, "Yeah, it's called doing a tour of Europe with your accents," and I was like, "Yes, and not even that well. It was like
That's
a tour
awesome.
of of fake Europe."
Yeah. He's incredible. I like listening back to it too, I'm just like, I'm amazed. I know he's so skilled, but listening back, I'm like, man, I wish I had that natural vocal quality, but also just the proficiency with accents is such an amazing thing to me. There's a
It
friend of
truly
mine in town
is.
who does a lot of animation projects, and he's like that Robin Williams type of person who just in a conversation has this wheelhouse of probably 20 very distinct characters he can fall into. And I just am like wide-eyed at that.
Well, I think one of the things that honestly I love about what you're doing is I felt very much like you thought about the characters when you created them, as you just explained. I feel like when, especially Christian, well, both of them, to be honest with you, when I hear them, I'm like, I can feel the emotional resonance behind what you're doing each time.
Mm.
And it's hard to believe it's the same person doing both because they are so distinct. Which I was when they first suggested that you do both, I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, this is gonna he'd have to make them very distinct, and is he really not? Because I didn't know your skills, and then you did it, and I was like, yeah, this is good. This is really
Oh, I'm
good.
so glad to hear it. Truly. Especially the scenes. I don't know if there have been that many so far, but scenes between just the two of them chatting back and forth. I'm very aware.
Right?
We're lucky too because I record all of one character. Maybe we'll do 6 or 7 chapters of just Julian and then switch. We literally switch microphones as well because one of the microphones picks up kind of the lower vocal qualities and one picks up kind of
Wow.
the higher tones of my voice. So it makes it much easier for me rather than reading straight through the script and switching voices. There'd be a lot more inconsistencies that way.
There would be. I could imagine that, and I mean, like I said, it definitely feels like two distinct people to me.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
glad.
Yay. So Bryce asked, are there physical copies of the books? Yes, there are. There are hardbacks. They're very expensive. I warn you, they're about $50 a pop. I do sign them and put a note into each, wrap them myself like little Christmas presents. There will be hardcovers for each and every volume. We anticipate 7, so it is a vast investment, but we do have them. It's just the cost to get them honestly together. Okay. Let's see here. I'm so glad you found us through Dragons of Rain. Okay, I'm going through. Yes, Sunflower. Everdark there is a finished, literally ebook and hard copy right now. You can get a hardback. Let's see. I'm just going through. Uh, Questions. Christina, the one in front is Christian, and the one in back it's Balthazar.
Beautiful. I love the artwork.
It really, Matthia's doing a brilliant job of it.
Yeah.
Especially since I've had to refresh the characters a little bit, which I had some pushback on, which shocked me because I really feel this looks far more like Balthazar and Christian than they did in the past. But people are like, these are the ones I love, the versions I love. Do not take them away from me. And I was like, I am not. I am just giving you some other alternatives. Okay, so Eleanor says the love scenes are fantastic because they're a little bit further back in the chat than we are. But Adam, I know we sort of talked about this in a general behind the scenes thing, but I think that people are probably curious with actors, like, is it embarrassing to do love scenes? Is it, whether it's like audiobooks or whatever, how do you prepare for that? That's what I
No,
always wondered.
more speaking a little more generally, it's part of what really appeals to me about voice acting rather than on-camera acting, which is what I primarily do, is that I feel much more comfortable doing love scenes over a microphone than in person, right? Than on a camera. You're really just trying to harness all of the emotion and everything, physicality even, just into your your vocal tone. I've certainly read some adult scenes that have been much, much more embarrassing and harder to read because, and it's a compliment to you, Raythe, the way that you write the scenes is not at all. I don't know what the word is. I was going to say gratuitous, but that's probably the wrong word. But the love scenes are earned, so because they're driven by character and because they're driven, by the narrative of the story. They don't just pop out. They're not lewd, right?
Right.
It makes them deeply romantic, and like I understand as an actor what the love scene means, right? It's not gratuitous. It is there for a reason. It advances the story. It establishes like a closeness between the characters. Sometimes it's used as a power dynamic. Like they're filled with so much more meaning than just sex, right? So that automatically makes it just like reading every other scene. It makes it like reading an action scene or reading a suspense scene or anything like that, right? It's just a different emotion.
You were making me blush here. I think I want them to always move with the story. I think it's funny, I'm writing Sinners and Ashes 6, which is the culmination. And I'm finding like people like, oh, aren't you going to put a lovemaking scene here? I said, no, because, honestly, emotionally, it doesn't work. It doesn't work
Mhm.
for the story. I feel like it would undercut what's been going on in the story. And so I love the fact that you feel the same way, that this is not just in my head, that I say to myself, no, this has to be, you know, moving the story forward, earned and not gratuitous. I mean, that's like really huge.
Right, and they're also
Uh,
used quite sparingly, right? So,
right.
in some of the books I've read, it is clearly the purpose of the book. As this feels like it is, those scenes are just sprinkled in enough to again advance the story and to add a spark between characters, especially characters who are at odds with each other most of the time, right? Those scenes have to be earned because especially with the episodes that have aired so far, they're these characters are very much at odds with each other. So it would be
Very much.
strange for a scene to pop up out of nowhere where all of a sudden they're getting along really well.
Yeah, because we've got, Christian looking at Balthazar with the stink eye going, so you've been stalking me, you creepoid.
Yeah.
And then Julian looking at Damon like, okay, bad parent, just, I don't need you. You're just like, like leaving me here to figure it out.
Yeah. There's a
By the
journey
way,
there.
guys, there in the first 15 chapters there are no romantic scenes, as you can imagine, because as Adam and So put it, they're at odds. But starting with volume 2, there will be. So that's when those of you who are listening purely on the public podcast will suddenly get a situation where a chapter will be 10 minutes instead of the full 30 or 40 or 45 coming up in volume 2. So just keep aware that that is going to happen. Keep that in your minds. If you can, basically save up, think about saving up, because literally right now on Raythe Rain, Kat, what chapter has been posted on the Behind Raythe Rain?
Oh, um, what do you want to know? Like
How many
what?
chapters have been posted behind the paywall?
Oh, for the members.
Yeah,
I've posted up to 19 and I have to locate the other ones and I'm going to upload maybe like 6 in September.
nice. So
You
right
haven't
now,
given me the
guys,
calendar, so I don't know.
I haven't. Yeah, give me the calendar. Um, yes. So right now, right at this moment, if you wanted to listen up to chapter 19, you could on Raythe Rain. So those of you who are thinking about it, man, um, that would be really great if you did sign up, because that allows us to do fun things. Okay. All right. Okay. So we got another question here, and then I'm going to definitely go into an Adam question. Are basically, the question here is, are my vampires in these other stories very similar? No, they are not. Actually, the Vampire Club series that I did on Amazon is based off of Sanctuary, although they're very different. They're hugely different. So, but if you like the vampires in Everdark, if you like the vampires in the Vampire Club, you will like them. I like to think of myself as the James Patterson of gay romance, which means that you always know what you are getting. Um, so it's never like I suddenly veer. You pretty much get the type of happily ever afters, the two types of couples you like, all this kind of stuff. I would give it a shot for sure. For those of you who are not members, I believe you can read the first 5 chapters of Sanctuary to get an idea of what that's like. So, Adam, we have a question about your acting career. How did you get into voice acting?
Oh, this goes way back. So when I was 9, actually, I started taking voice and speech classes, almost how you would take piano lessons as a kid. So it was one-on-one lessons, doing poems and short stories and scenes and Shakespeare and all sorts of stuff, kind of like an intro to drama for kids. And it was through a college in London, and I would do exams every year. So I ended up, through my childhood, kind of up getting an associate diploma from this university by the time I was 17, and then was lucky enough to know exactly what I wanted to do for a living. So when I was 18, I went straight into university and got a 4-year degree in acting, and then ended up getting steered towards film and TV a little bit more, and that's how I ended up in the city that I am now. But about maybe 8 years ago, I had an agent already, and I was doing film and TV stuff, and a friend of mine was a voice actor and told me a bit about it. And so I ended up getting a voice agent at the same agency and going out for auditions and not having much luck, to be honest. Again, there's a huge market for video games and, like I was talking about before, the types of actors who are really proficient with accents and characterizations and those incredible voice talents. And I never saw that for myself. But then quite recently, maybe the past 6 years or so, I discovered more independent projects that were looking for narrators, that were looking for kind of more
Right.
kind of radio reads. So I do a lot of internal training videos, corporate stuff, not the most exciting fare in the world, but and then I started doing audiobooks about in the past maybe 4 or 5 years. And it's been incredible. I'm always learning and kind of getting better at it. I've never really taken a formal voice acting class, but I attribute any success I've had in this side of the industry to those early years of training, right?
Oh,
Teaching things
yeah.
like cold reading ability and sentence structure and all that kind of stuff that makes it easier to move through large chunks of text quickly and clearly, and yeah, and then the characterization is the part of it I'm definitely still learning about and figuring out dialects and all that jazz.
I imagine that consistency is the hardest part because that just to have a character sound the same chapter to chapter going through as you're doing it. I don't know. That was something I always struggled with,
Oh, totally.
especially if you're adding an accent in there. But yes,
Well,
yes.
it's made easier when I have very limited library of characters to go from. You should see my when I do the last audiobook I finished that I was narrating myself and doing all the character voices. Kind of as I go, I tend to build a character library. So as character names come up, I'll do a couple quick notes of the voice I've used for them in my own terms, and it is just like very, very slight variations on the same theme.
Nice. No, that makes total sense. So this one you sort of already answered before voicing Julian and Christian. So we talked about how that is different. Um, I think this is sort of a funny thing. Why is everyone so fine in these books? So when I was having everything based off of a city called Winter Haven in my books, everyone's like, "How many of these gorgeous alpha men are in one town and don't know one another?" And so what ended up happening is we call it the Winter Haven series. All of them ended up being friends because it just seemed like it would work. So yes, yes. I think in the vampire world, that's just why they basically found each other. Hold on one second here.
Also, because Mathia does all of the characters, and I don't think she's
Oh, too.
incapable of. I don't think she's capable of doing anything ugly.
I think that that's very true as well. Everything she does is sort of gorgeous. But that may just be me asking her to always do that because she might, want something
No,
else.
no. Have you seen her deviant art? It's all beautiful.
It's all beautiful. It's all beautiful. Yes. So here we go. Like, what are your favorite things, Adam, about voicing Julian and Christian?
It's interesting. I actually, when I first started the book, definitely was more drawn to Christian. I found just because he's more like me in a lot of ways. I'm very
Mm.
skeptical. I'm very, cautious. Maybe more kind of. I wouldn't say like I'm maybe analytical. I'm more analytical and skeptical, certainly. And I found Julian to be so impulsive and romantic, but kind of in a frustrating way. Like he just was
Yeah.
so fly by the seat of his pants. The further I get into it, though, I'm discovering parts of Julian that I really aspire to be. Like I find a lot of that kind of romance he has and that impulsiveness to be really kind of aspirational. He lives his life in a way that is like so passionate. So I think my favorite things about voicing them are the differences between them. And I'm starting to learn, the more chapters we get into this, why they're friends, right? Because initially that
Right.
was where I was not struggling, but I was like, oh, these two are so dissimilar. They're not at odds with each other. They clearly get along and they have such a history. But as I go on, I'm starting to see the similarities they have with each other and how they kind of bring out the best and opposite qualities in each other. And that's the mark of kind of the best friendships I have in my life are that, right? I don't want to be friends with people who are exactly my carbon copy. I want people who challenge me and who remind me of who I am and, make me better in a lot of ways. So the dynamic between them I'm finding really, really fascinating.
I think of Julian as just like you, I feel more like Christian in my own self. Julian is what I wish I could be. I think, that idea
Yeah.
of being so unafraid. He he just embraces life and risk in a way that I can't. So when I'm writing him, especially from his point of view, it gives me a chance to be like, what would it be like to be so brave, so athletic, so sure of your physicality, but also your emotions? To just live like that, so out there, because you could be hurt so easily. And I think that Christian, especially in those like the first few chapters, when Julian is all in that vampires exist, despite them having no proof, um, until they have all the proof they need. I feel like Christian did, which was like, please don't, you're going to jump off that cliff and you're going to land on the ground, which is a lot farther down than you think. You're not going to fly. And I think that that's how I've always seen the two of them. Although it's
Right.
ironic because I think Christian, well, we know we can't, we don't want to spoil anything, but there is, although something's already in one of the ads we did, Christian has very good reason for thinking things are not sunshine and roses.
But you need Julian in this story, right? As much
Right.
risk as he poses to Christian and getting them into these situations, Christian has also been afforded a lot of opportunities, as we'll come to find out.
Yes. Yes. I think that Christian would have lived his life, probably would have become a professor. He would have
Yes.
lived it very internally, I think, absent Julian. And I think that Julian would not have had the grounding absent Christian. So, Greta's asking, is it hard to voice two characters? And as we talked about, yes, I think you would say yes,
It
in
is.
the same thing.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier, I have the benefit of recording them separately. So for my own consistency's sake, I can what we'll usually do at the beginning of a session is play maybe a few sentences that I'd previously recorded of one of the characters, just to kind of make sure I'm sitting in that same zone vocally. And then we'll usually do, I think, 6 or 7 chapters as that character, and then switch gears into Christian or Julian or vice versa.
So I love Melky Star says, wait, he does both? Yes, he does both.
Oh,
It's
that makes
it's
me feel
all
so good.
Adam. I
Thank you,
know,
Milky
it's like,
Star.
oh
That's
my
very sweet.
God. So yes, I know it is a shocker there. Yes, it's Julian speaking. I told you, it's just like it's cool. It's guys, it's just the same for me. When I'm with Adam and Edward, I'm like sort of like a little starstruck. I'm like, "Oh, it's them. It's really them." So here we go. Yes. Oh, well, this is really good questions, Joanne. And I know that I sort of like let the cat out of the bag, but I thought it was important to sort of frame the two characters as where they're coming from. Um, how he deals with what happened, as Adam knows, is a big part of the story, actually. Let's put
Yes.
it this way: the past is never really past. It's very, it's a big part of Christian letting go and accepting his new life, and I think also accepting that he is not to blame for a lot of things that have happened in his life.
I will say too, without revealing anything there, those are, I think so far, my favorite scenes to record, because it's a very vulnerable side of Christian that we don't get to see too often in these, and yeah, adds so much depth to his character and so much kind of it's a whole new tone that the story takes in those chapters.
Unfortunately, I had to delve deep. Not That's not the exact situation that happened, but I'm sure Adam, I think all of us have had, I don't know. I dated a lot of older people in my life when I was much too young to know that they were creeps for wanting to date someone as young as I did. I thought I was sophisticated and mature, right? Always
Mhm.
thought that. I mean, God, just cringing thinking about that. So when I was writing that, and then later when I was editing it, and then later when I heard, was hearing you and like read it, um, it was a lot harder than I thought. I was like, oh God, I'm like, good Lord, because you want it to be realistic, but you also don't want it. I don't know. I, you want it for people to feel like they can understand that the both sides of it, like that, not both sides of it, but that why Christian can both blame himself and yet not blame himself, know intellectually something, but emotionally still be holding on to that same thing.
Totally. It's the exact thing that would trip up an intellectual person like Christian, right?
Yes.
Who relies so much on intellect. It forces him to think impulsively and tap into his heart. One of the few times he really goes there and lets himself feel strongly and not be guarded. And that's, yeah, I found it was like an interesting new kind of shade for him.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. So there's been so many compliments. I've just been trying to put some of them up on the screen. Adam, about just how they love how you are doing the characters.
Oh, thank you
Um,
so much.
so they're not so much questions, it's just compliments. So, I hope you get a chance to just look at some of them. Uh, let's see. Joanne goes on to ask to deal with it by himself. Yes and no. Because one thing that I love about Balthazar, despite him seeming like he's so jaded and just so flippant, you know what I mean? Because that's his defense mechanism, right? Everything's funny because nothing is. Um, basically, Balthazar's there to hold up a mirror and say, no, like, you need to stop blaming yourself for this. And it's interesting because I think Julian would obviously die to protect Christian, but it's when Balthazar says, look at this differently, that he's able to shake Christian into seeing something a little bit differently about what's going on. What do you got here? How do you feel when you make the voices? Do you have an emotional reaction when you're reading something? Adam, or is it just more intellectual when you're actually voice acting?
It's interesting, kind of just kind of bouncing off what we just talked about there with Christian's kind of more emotional scenes. It really depends on the text, right? I actually find the more challenging parts to voice are the more uh, information delivering, kind of story advancing parts. When there's a big chunk of like an emotional monologue, or Julian gets a lot of that, where he kind of goes on a tear. He's upset about something, or he's worried about something, and he's just kind of rattling off the first things that are coming to his mind. I find those to actually be the easiest to connect to, and the easiest to kind of just drill through, because they're so driven by emotion. So as long as you kind of, as an actor, can get to that emotional place, the words kind of come more easily. But I definitely, yeah, there's been moments in this, and again, I really truly credit your writing, Raythe, where
Yeah.
even in like the love scenes, right? Like a lot of it flows very naturally. I don't find there's some writing, without going into any specific author names, say, but there's some audiobooks I'll read where I find them incredibly difficult to get through, and it takes me much longer because I don't think the same way they think. So
Right.
with this type of writing, I find I kind of can start to guess where the story's going. I can start to think kind of where the character might be going next with a certain line, and the language is similar to how I might speak, so it just flows more naturally, I think.
One of the things that I've I'm striving to do. I'm not the best writer by the far, not at all. What I do is try to get the psychology right, and that the psychology is consistent for the characters. So if you put, for example, Christian in Atlantis, or Christian on the moon, or Christian in, the ye old fantasy land, it would still be Christian. And therefore,
Right.
hopefully as an actor, you could still feel like I'm still this character, and I'm psychologically going through what this character would go through. That's consistent, no
Mhm.
matter what's happening outside of them.
Well, and the characters are complex in that they also evolve, and but they evolve in such incremental steps that it's all believable. So, like I was saying before, I went in thinking certain things about Julian and Christian, and as the story evolves, it only adds more kind of depth to their character. So when Christian might do something or say something that I find surprising, it's only a slight degree of difference from what I might expect him to do. Enough that I'm just kind of learning, like, oh yeah, no, that is in the realm of possibility for him. I just didn't know that about him yet. Right. So it kind of
Right.
starts to flesh out the world of these characters. And that's what I really enjoy, is kind of going on this journey with them and learning about how they react in certain situations, what makes them emotional, what makes them intimidated, what connects them as friends, what they want in a lover, that kind of thing.
It's to me, it's just like a challenge of like, what can I have crazily going on around them and still have them be believably in that moment.
Right.
So I know the answer to this, Adam, but Greta wonders, is this was Everdark basically the first time you read my stories? Like Edward and Hannah obviously have read Sinners and Ashes, but I believe Everdark was the first one you read
It
of.
is. I will
Yes.
say, I think for the past, just before the pandemic, almost 3 years, I have had a audiobook on the go. So I wish I had a moment to read more in my own personal time. But yes, this is the first book I've read of yours.
In all honesty, I'm the same way. I've found that I can't, 'cause, you spend so much time in front of a computer, I do, that I need to give my eyes a rest. So I really do audiobooks all the time, like before I go to bed, or,
Hmm.
when it's just on in the background, just because it's a lot better for me. So I totally understand, which is why I am investing a lot in audio, because I think I love it so much, and I, hope others will come around for the ride with us. So, I think I love, and Korea says, I like the fact that Julie and Christian sound similar, but at the same time are very different because they grew up together. So it makes sense that there are similarities between them. Yes,
Hmm.
there would be. They're the same class, they're from the same place or descent, but they're very different. Okay, let's see here. Um, what the hell did I just do? Um, that's not the one that I wanted to do. I just seem to have eliminated the one I wanted to do. There we go. This is what I was looking for. For some reason, Adam is so amazing. It's so nice to hear about your backstory.
Oh, thank
He is
you.
amazing. Okay,
That's
here's
what
a
all actors want to
question.
hear on a Saturday morning.
Exactly. Bask in it. Bask in the glow of your
Why we do
fans.
this. No.
Oh my gosh. So Nathaniel asked, what surprised you most about your individual characters?
Well, it said this a little bit before, but how similar they are, right? I went into this. I think I saw a question that might be coming up about me reading ahead in the book, which I don't do, just to give a little a teaser there. So I go in with a brief description of who these characters are from when I auditioned, and I know kind of loosely what the plot of the entire book is, but in very loose terms. So I go in not knowing a whole lot. So I think I had some preconceived notions about who Julian was and who Christian was, especially when it came to trying to figure out how I was going to differentiate them as characters and differentiate
Hmm.
their voices. So I had that kind of established in my head, right? Julian is the impulsive, emotional one. Christian is the analytical, maybe kind of more emotionally removed one. But as the story evolves, you learn that like it really isn't that cut and dry. They kind of There's a really good quote that I wish I had on. It's a Ray Bradbury quote from Something Wicked This Way Comes about how we get our fingers in each other's clay, and that's what real friendship is. And I think that's the case with
Ooh.
these two. It's so clear that they grew up together. They have a rhythm even though they're very dissimilar as characters, they have a rhythm that just makes sense in their friendship, and as such, take on a couple of each other's qualities. So Christian isn't this cold, analytical person the whole time. We get to see him start to feel very strongly, and we get to see him kind of surrender to his heart. And conversely, we get to see Julian, exercise a bit of caution and maybe think twice about
Yes.
some things. And so that I find really interesting. I'm learning about the characters as they evolve in a very believable way.
I was thinking too about Julian being the vampire prince. He does not, that requires a lot more strategy and thinking, right? And he is just not really down for that because he just doesn't want to accept that part of his role,
Hmm.
which I think it's not too much of a stretch to imagine that. But I think that's where Christian's clan his fingers. He's starting to think more about how strategically and how he has to rein himself in because what he does it has greater consequences than just for himself personally, right?
Right.
So this I am surprised. Oh wait, I wanted to say like I put this one up because uh, the hoarding a big chunk of your bookcase for display. We're trying to make the hardcovers and the ebooks and all the art really like worth it. A very much a big part of uh, people could have as an art piece and set out. Just so you guys know, I know many of you know, but we don't, the cost of making the podcast is not at all covered by AdSense. I think we get a couple $100 from AdSense, like over a variety of months. We don't get very much. So the people who are responsible for making this podcast possible and having people as talented and wonderful as Adam play Christian and Julian are the members of the site, those who have purchased individual books, and those of you who are purchasing the hardbacks, ebooks, and audiobooks of Everdark and merchandise. So if you're thinking, well, I'm here, I'm listening, and I'm doing the AdSense, we're a very small channel. We're a very small group, and that just wouldn't pay for the quality of the podcast that we have. Already, these guys are honestly donating a lot of their time outside of, like, Adam just being here today is like, it's his own free time, and he's donating it to do this. So I really want to thank those of you who have had the wherewithal and the means and the desire to spend money on Raythe. I mean, it really has allowed us to do this. It's the only way we could do it. We couldn't just simply put it out and hope that ads covers it. Just wouldn't do it. So thank you for those of you who are doing that. And I hope others who can will in the future. We'd really appreciate that. Okay. So will Julian and Damon be a couple? Stay with Christian and Balthazar. I don't think that I'm spoiling this to say yes. Adam, what do you think? Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
even just based on the art we're currently looking at, how could they not be a couple? Come on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Those longing
I'm
eyes.
so thank you so much for being a member, Jolajaya. Yes, excellent. Excellent. Yes, it is, Mari. I think did you buy them? I had a couple people in Norway buy them. The shipping's about 20 some bucks. It's expensive. And it's not really a truly money-making opportunity for us. Unfortunately, hardcovers, if you can imagine this, Adam, we're getting these made like in batches of 34 books.
Wow.
So you can imagine how much they cost to have made
Yeah.
hardcovers, but it's the only way we can do it. Otherwise, we would have to have warehouses. Um, so it's like, oh, I totally get it, Sunflower. It's the hardcovers shockingly have sold quite a bit, and I thought that no one would be able to afford those, but yes, we've been selling quite a few of those at a clip. As I said, I put an individual note, and I put my name, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. It really, really helps us. Okay. Oh, well, thank you, the demonic gremlin. We're so glad that you are here. That is because Greta, he's described as having dark hair, and I originally did, but he's blonde. Oh, Sophie, you made it. Woo, I thought you had a dinner. So Sophie is one of our most active members. She arranges stuff from fan content drives to she's, put up the Discord, and I mean, really and truly, she is just at the top of she's amazing. She's
Awesome.
amazing.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Also, for everybody who is saying, how can I support? As the business end of Raythe right here, what we really need, in addition to money, which we're getting in, is exposure that we can't get any other way. Because as you guys know, it's really hard for us to advertise sometimes because the big networks are kind of don't like our kind of content. So it might be worth just having a blog post or something, just compiling everyone's ideas, because I'm only one person, and as Raythe knows, you can't beat the hive mind.
Yeah, that would be a good idea to see if people have ideas how to promote. That's always good, or where they're going. Or quite frankly, even if you just tell people about it or share the content, just share it. Share the living hell out of it. Because also, we got a content strike on YouTube because of the sexy times, which means that YouTube is not pushing us out to as many places anymore, because we are on their naughty list, and I don't know.
We're still on probation too. I see it in the dashboard. I'm like, oh my God, just go away.
Still on probation. Yeah. So, in all honesty, if you can share this, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all of it, Instagram, all of it, please, 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 please do, because that's the only way that we're going to grow, and then we can have more fun things. With like this. I mean, we always have some more fun things. We always have some new art project. Okay, so did the audiobook cast do the quiz for the Bloodlines? So if you actually listen to this week's behind the scenes, they did. Adam, you did the quiz, didn't you? You did the quiz.
I haven't listened to that episode, but I believe I got Iros. Spoiler alert. Same as Christian, which makes absolute sense.
Yeah, I know. I hope you guys do the Bloodline quiz. It's a lot of fun. I mean, we agonized over these questions. What would lead one to believe you're an Iros? What would you get going through? Because I know people are having a really lot of good time doing that. Okay, so Raythe. Folks want to know which vampire stories are what other Raythe Rain universe stories. So I have two. Well, Sanctuary is the other big vampire story other than Everdark on the site. So Sanctuary is it. It's part of the Winterhaven universe, which is massive. And also the Vampires Club series on Amazon is based off of that, which is sort of an unspun thing about that. So that is what it is. Am I missing? I have some Hero, which is a small, sort of more horror-y vampire story, is also on there, which is a lot of fun. And I think the next book series I actually will be doing on Amazon will be an urban fantasy vampire series that will start out on Raythe Rain, like I'm doing Cinders and Ashes 6 right now. So that's what's going on. Will there be a flashback of Balthazar's past with Lord Raythe? Let's put it this way. Maybe not a flashback, but we'll just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. Yes. So I'm very excited for some other characters that haven't been voiced yet. But do the voice actors have any favorite characters or favorite scenes, at least from what we've heard so far? You talked about that I don't think it would be a favorite scene, maybe with the Christian, past, but do you have anything a favorite, even when you're not voicing?
Of ones that have aired so far?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spoil anything. I can think of a couple that are coming up that are very funny, that I wasn't expecting to be hilarious, that I really enjoyed. I'm trying to think of what has happened so far. I actually quite like, it's like the first thing we hear, actually, but you get a real sense of the dynamic between Christian and Julian when they're filming their web series. I like that kind of interplay between them, and I'm excited for that to kind of crop up again. I know there is potentially plans
Nice.
for them to come back to their web series at some point. There's been talks.
Yes, yes, there has been talks. Well, it's funny you say that because T Wolf, who has done my Dark Earth manga, is actually doing a manga of one of their series where our boys intrepidly go to a Wisconsin town on the heels of what they think might be a werewolf attack, but it's really vampires, and that's takes place pre Everdark. But we have Balthazar, Kaemorn, Arceus, and even a touch of Damon in that coming up. So,
Nice.
yeah. So, my next series is not something with wizards. My next series is actually, think Dragon's Reign, but with elves. So, it's going to be really interesting. We will get to find out a lot more about Roan Tithe. A lot more. A lot more. Okay, so I thank you very much in the podcast, Ruby. Thank you. All right, I'm just going through here.
Edward mentioned
Yeah.
Damon exploring modern plumbing. That was the scene I was
Yes.
thinking of, but I wasn't sure if it had aired yet. But yes,
Not
hilarious.
yet, but it's worthy of. Let's put it this way: he's sort of cat-like, wanting to put things in a toilet to see what happens, especially if it annoys Balthazar. Um, so it was Everdark Academy. So Adam, I think you know this, but it goes Everdark and then Everdark Academy, and then
Mhm.
they're asking if there's going to be a third book. There is. Everdark Academy really deals with the past and the war in the current time, and then I think the third huge serial will deal with humanity, which is going to be interesting. So yes, because I mean, Edward has threatened, laughed that he's like, I'd like to do Everdark Academy, and I said, I'd like to do Everdark Academy. I'd love you guys to continue on, plus with new characters.
Sign me up.
So, yeah, it's like even bigger. I mean, it's gonna be crazy. Oh, thank you so much about the love scenes. Let's see what we got going on here. Ah, guys, I know I'm really behind on the chat, but I'm trying to like slow it down so that I can actually find the questions. So I'm just putting up some
Water
fun
feature love
ones.
scene.
Water feature. Oh, good lord. Here we go. Here we go.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. So, Greta, where can I listen to the Uncensored podcast again and how? Just again, it's actually in the description. You can listen to it if you're a Raythe Rain member. In fact, right now, you can listen up into chapter 19 that's on the site. So, you just got to sign up for Raythe Rain. The link's in the description down below that you can do that. If you're on Facebook, just go to wraithrain.com and it'll show you, it says membership, and you'll be able to like sign up. You're also able to do so when the audiobooks come out. The first, like I said, the first 15 chapters does not have any sex scenes in it, but it does coming up. Okay. Thanks, guys. I know that there are a lot of calls on your purse for entertainment right now. So I really do want to tell you how thankful we are that you are doing this and supporting us. But just as I totally get it. Like, I love my Disney Plus and Netflix subscription. But for them, the money, of course, is meaningful. But for us, it's life changing. You give us money and we get to do something like Everdark, which nobody else is going to do, right? You give us money, we give you a manga. You give us money and we do, another gay romance that's, filled with action, adventure, and all this kind of stuff. You give us money and you know that that money is being used to support the artists and the people that are in the back. I mean, legit, like I could tell you where each and every dime goes, each and every penny. So, what surprised you most about your individual characters, Adam? Was there something about the characters that was surprising in any
Yeah,
way?
that's I think I've kind of alluded to it before, but the for Christian, I thought I really had Christian figured out because he's so similar to me. But the way his plot evolves, again, without spoiling anything, but we get to see actually all of the characters in this are really so thoughtfully fleshed out. So your expectations are set for a character and you think you have them figured out, and then they show a sensitivity or a hardness or a just another shade of their personality that is always surprising. Christian's the one that sticks out to me because again, I related to him so early in the story, and then when he started to show this like intense vulnerability and emotion and all these other sides to him, that really made me kind of reflect, because I I have those sides to me too, but to kind of see it reflected in a character so clearly was surprising.
Thank you very much, Felicia. Yeah, I mean, I'm really, I everyone like, like, oh, it's a Mary Sue. It's like and like making yourself perfect. But that's not normally what characters are. But I will say that everything comes from within, right? Whether you've known someone or yourself or some shade of it. And I think that must be true for acting too. You're pulling on something inside of you, some experience or someone you've known. So
Hmm.
that's always like an interesting thing.
Well, not even it extends to the villains in this story, right? I'm playing two nice guys in this so far,
Right.
but for the villains in the story, even the people that you think you have figured out just based on other media we've taken in, we're like, oh, okay, well, this guy clearly fits into the villain, archetype. But those characters start to show this complexity, and our heroes are deeply flawed in some ways, and it is much more true to life. No one is just any one thing, and no one is predictable all the time. So it is, yeah, all the characters have a journey, even the ones that you think are going to be the most kind of potentially archetype.
Yeah, I have a problem. I love my anti-heroes. It turns
Oh
out there
yeah,
aren't really any villains in my work. They're all really more the anti-hero way of going.
that's much more true to life, though. I think no one is just one thing.
Yeah, and I mean it's unfortunate. I say unfortunately because I think that for myself in my own life, I have found myself understanding the people who maybe have caused me a lot of trouble.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
damn it, damn it. Okay, so Adam, have you done gay romance before you worked on Raythe's story?
I have. Yeah, several. When I was first getting started in audiobooks, I was amazed at how much romance there is. It is just the biggest market for audiobooks from what I could see. And yeah, I did quite a bit. None quite as world building as this. It was a lot, shorter books, kind of less fleshed out, and where I was doing all of the narrating and all of the characterization. This was the first time I think where I had only played a couple characters and was just kind of following those tracks and those narratives.
Cool. I admit that I've been like we were talking before the podcast about how 12 years ago when I tried to get audiobook narrators, just a lot of people wouldn't do it. Because even if they were maybe openly gay in their life, for their professional life, it would be death, I guess, is the professional suicide, to a certain extent, even, in 2009, 2010. It's not exactly easy now either, but I mean, I did find like the amount of, I think, authors and the amount of actors now willing to work together, especially through ACX, which is Audible's backside that you may get your audio from,
Hmm.
um, has just been huge. It's just been so different than in the past. So I love how it's Cinders and Ashes. Yes, there already is a Cinders and Ashes. There's a series of audiobooks, and it's all by Edward. But I think Adam would be a wonderful reader of something going forward. So we will definitely keep him in mind. I already know the answer to this one too, Greta. Stop it. Oh,
I
God.
will. I will.
All right, here we go. Yes, for those of you who are wondering about the CNA 5, Edward is really working hard on it. He's got so much going on. Plus, I've put on the role, all of Everdark on him. He is doing it. He is doing it. Thank you so much, Maury, for the support. Can we have a peanut gallery below the podcast episodes on the member site? I miss being able to give my two. I agree. We're having problems with the to be perfectly honest with you, Kat can probably speak to this better, but there are technical limitations to this podcast streaming thing that we're doing. It's literally a plugin, which makes it very difficult for us to make that page user friendly. So, oh my God, Lily, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You are lovely. We love you. Good Lord, Lily, you do not have to do that. You have a baby coming. You have a baby coming. But you are just so lovely. So Lily just was so excited about getting her hardcover, and she was announcing her just all these things of going on. Adam, it's just so cool to know people's like what's going on in their lives. It's
Oh,
really
that's
really
amazing.
cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lily, and congratulations.
All right, Adam. If Julian and Christian became real, would you become friends with them? P.S. Love your voice acting. Keep up the great work.
I think so. They're both very likable characters, I think. I've it took me some time to warm to Julian. Christian I immediately understood. I think he's got the same kind of dry sense of humor and aloofness that I
Yeah.
immediately relate to in people. Julian's pretty headstrong and go get 'em and unpredictable, which it can sometimes take me a little while to warm to them. But now that I've seen a little bit more of Julian's thoughtful side as well. Again, they're pretty complex characters. I'd hope they'd want to be friends with me.
Yeah, I know, right? Like God, like I'd definitely be friends with them, but be friends with me.
Yeah.
So more compliments about your voice work. Not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Oh my God, Lily gave more money. This is ridiculous. You do not, I mean, I love it. Thank you. That really does help. Like I said, everything helps. Seriously. So, what are some, just so you guys know, Adam is under a pseudonym just like Edward. So he can't give you, unless he wishes to, unless it's something under Adam Riley that he
Yeah.
wishes to identify.
I've gone
Um,
by Adam Riley for all my audiobooks. So if you look up
okay.
Adam Riley on Audible, recently have done a lot of like action adventure books. So I'm in the middle of I want to say 18 book series called the Florida Keys Adventure Series about an ex-Navy SEAL who moves to Florida and
Cool.
fights crime on his own, which is so totally not my genre, but I really enjoy the writing, and the author and I have developed this kind of back and forth relationship. And yeah, it's been years and years now that I've worked with him, so I've gotten to know those characters pretty well.
You know, I've seen that on Audible and I wanted to pick that up because honestly, I love that kind of stuff. Oh, how interesting. Okay, now I've got to definitely get it. I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to get it.
it's really fun kind of escapism. He lives a exciting and fulfilling life.
So, Mari, my gosh, you keep giving money too. This is just thank you, thank you, thank you. Seriously, I mean, all of it just makes a big difference for us. I can't even tell you. I mean, thank you. God, Lily. Lily, you guys are just amazing. Yeah, I think we all agree that it's just like so I love it how Rochelle's like, I would love you guys to voice for our Winterhaven characters, but unfortunately, there's some really forbidden stuff in that we definitely couldn't even have on. I mean, it couldn't even pass by YouTube at 100 miles an hour without us getting so gone. Um, okay. So, well, this is more like now that I know Adam, I actually will definitely use him coming up for other books that will be in his wheelhouse if he is interested.
Would love to.
Okay. So, okay, Adam, what are your favorite characters in Everdark? Does not have to be the ones you play. It can be anyone you think of.
Well, I definitely have an affinity for the ones I play just because I feel like I know them very well,
Yeah.
but I am always naturally drawn to villains. We talked about this over
Nice.
one of the chats.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
In my film career, I tend to play almost exclusively jerks and
I
villains or
can't
kind of
believe
villain
it.
adjacent characters. You
Oh
know,
my
it's
God.
just it's a blessing and a curse, but I love it, and I've always been kind of drawn to villainous characters. I find them they can be more complex, and especially villains in this story who aren't just pure evil all the time. They kind of
Right.
have a softer
Right.
side. So I find Kaymorn really fascinating. I find Fiona very
Yeah.
fascinating. If I had to pick a character, I think Arceus. I find him very lovable
Right.
and really kind of paired with the voice and kind of what he represents in the story. I don't know. I find all of Arceus' stuff to be very kind of wholesome and kind of
It
comforting to
is,
me.
isn't it? A wholesome vampire berserker. I
Yeah,
mean,
and when
he
there's so
is
much
like,
when there's so much in the story that is where these characters are in peril, he's this kind of like standby who seems very trustworthy and like a constant, and I like that.
yes. Well, I think that he truly stands for what he believes in, right? He lives his life like that, which, I mean, he went into exile for Balthazar, even though he
Yes.
did not have to.
Yeah.
Um, so to Wraith and Adam, do you guys ever just want to give any of these characters a hug all the time? All the
Yes.
time.
Definitely Balthazar. Balthazar needs a hug.
Oh God. Like a million hugs, like a
Yeah.
million hugs.
Yeah.
So just more compliments. I really just, everything is just,
Thank you, Greta.
yeah, this is like, here we're going on. And I know I'm not putting everybody up, and you guys have been amazing.
Welcome to the K Morn fan club. I've heard about this
Right?
fan club.
It
Happy
was
to
funny.
join.
It was so funny because I kept telling them in the beginning when they hadn't gotten to later K Morn chapters. No, no, no. There's a huge K Morn fan club. And they're like, why? Like, why would you do this? He blasted Timothy into a million pieces. What the hell? And it's like, no, no, no. Just wait. Just wait. So Cersei's Land says, do you find your subconscious dreaming in the characters you voice? So do you ever have dreams
Ooh.
about maybe characters you've acted, um,
Hmm.
or no?
Maybe more with film. Again, with voice acting, I tend to use my own voice, right? Like the departure
Yeah.
from my own voice is maybe only a degree or two or a slight accent here or there. So I don't have any super strong like character voices I might be thinking of in my subconscious.
Well, nice. I mean, that's an interesting question. Like, if you ever dream of the characters you play.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is true because I mean, so Mari says the best voice acting is when you connect with the characters. I'm sure that helps, but Adam, you're a
Mhm.
professional, so you really have to connect no matter what, right? You have to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean it's something I'm still learning about with acting, on camera or on mic. Is I think you always have to find some connection with the character, right? Again, I've played a lot of villains and some very out there villains who are not really based in reality, but I think it's still important to find some humanity in them, something that you relate to, some like I think there's a famous, I want to say Meryl Streep quote about acting where it is you're not creating a character from scratch, you're finding something that you identify with in the character that is true to yourself as a human being, and then you
Wow.
build the character from there, right? So that all characters are based in some kind of truth. And I think that's really important. So even in the most cartooniest, zaniest, wildest villains that I've played, or any character that I've played, I still try and find some shred of humanity or some aspect of their personality that I can relate to. Because I think then it comes from a place that's real and not just,
Yeah.
built out of total artifice.
I absolutely love that because that goes back to my own thought that, like, all of these characters come from something inside.
Hmm.
They weren't created out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite part voice acting Julian and Christian and Everdark? Is if there's a favorite part.
Of course, many. They're very complex characters. They evolve almost chapter to chapter. There's something I learn about them. So I'm enjoying going on this journey with them. I also will say something, just speaking of relating to characters, I will admit, and please treat me kindly, fantasy has not been my genre, right? I
No,
tend to
right.
gravitate toward horror, I will say, especially with reading. But fantasy I've never really been drawn to. So what I think that gives me in this is a perspective where I'm kind of, because I'm playing the two human characters in this, at least from the first couple chapters, I'm going on this journey with them where I'm discovering these things and being shocked by these things and learning about the bloodlines and adapting to this world that they've been thrown into. I find that easy to relate to because I don't come from even in my childhood, I wasn't, uh, drawn to that kind of genre. So I don't have this breadth of knowledge about the lore, it's kind of a lot of it is kind of hitting me fresh, and that's how I relate to Christian, I think, because he does have that kind of like he is hearing it for the first time, a lot of it, and learning with the audience, I think.
I love how, I mean, I love writing the stories like where we're taking the modern day, like and like adding to it, like say, what if vampires are real? What if dragon shifters were real? And the next book, actually, a bit serial, will be, what if high fantasy creatures lived amongst us? Because I think that it does allow someone to be like, I could believe this. Like, you're not having to totally suspend disbelief and figure out what this world is. You know what this world is, and then that extra thing, you can think to yourself, what would I feel? What would I do if this were true? If this one thing were different about our world?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it does, again, not to, I keep
no.
just complimenting you, Raythe, but
Yeah.
it is like, part of what I find sometimes alienating about the genre can be that you do have to have a bit of a background in it. You do have to kind of
Yes.
have that capacity to take on all this information and all this lore and just adapt to it. But I do find with your writing that it is, because it is so based in truthful emotion and humanity, that it is really easy to follow. All of the vampire lore and all that stuff surrounding the story is extra. It really all just comes down to like real human relationships. Not human, that's the wrong term, but believable
Right.
relationships that are relatable. And then and I'm really
Yes.
drawn to that. So the rest of it I find easy to follow because it lends itself to the plot that's already unfolding.
For me anyway, I think my most successful works have been when I've done that. When I've had to have them really, just probably because I'm not as good a writer, a storyteller as some, the world building. Honestly, I think it just helps to get the reader in right away, to really buy in and feel like
Right.
they can connect.
Yeah.
Definitely. So Samuel just says just a lovely comment. I just want to say Everdark was got me into a member. Thank you. And hearing the characters be voiced makes me extremely happy and emotional. Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
so nice. That's so nice. Raythe, I love how humble some of your characters are, like how they would give everything to help their friends and family. I say this to Kat a lot. I want to reward those who do good things, because in reality, a lot of people who are very good are not rewarded, right? I don't want to reward bad people. Then I mean, when I have control over it. So Steven asked a really good questions. Are there plans for an audio version for Academy? I actually have talked to Edward and Hannah, and I do want to do it, but I know this is a lot to ask of people. We have not even finished Everdark, and all of these guys are working actors doing a lot of things, but if they're up for doing it, we're up for doing it. I guess I would keep that there. So Adam, I will put you on the spot. But yes, we are definitely, I mean, I would love it if we could do the whole trilogy, to be honest with you, if that's what people would like to do.
I would be more than happy to be back.
Yes, it's a train. It is a train, and it's my place, and it's because the cat's outside and I can't close the door. So okay, so we have, I know we're a bit over the hour, but Adam, you said you could give us a little bit more time. I'm
Yeah,
taking forever. All right,
no
thank
problem.
you.
Maybe 20 more minutes would be great if we could swing it.
Yes, no, that's perfect. That will
Sure.
be a hard stop, and then I will let you go. But we definitely do, by the way, hope you'll come back again,
Of
especially
course.
for October. I'd like to do a couple actors, because obviously October is Vampire Month, but more importantly, the first volume ends and we're starting volume 2. So
Nice.
if you have time,
Would love it.
again, that would be great.
Yeah, this is fun.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? It's showered in compliments. I'll do this every day.
I'm like, woohoo, do this. I know. I feel like I'm like beaming from ear to ear, just how lovely everyone, what they're saying. And it's so true about your work. It's so true. Okay.
Thank you.
So to Raythe and Adam, do you guys ever have to take a break from a character because they are making you feel too much, if that makes sense?
Yes. More with audiobooks, to be honest. I find with at least the characters I play on film, which again tend to be more villainous, I don't get too wrapped up in the emotion of them. I've read a couple audiobooks where I've had to stop because I was tearing up. I did a romance about uh, a man and a woman, and the woman had multiple personality disorder, and
Oh, wow.
the book was about her process with a psychologist working through this. And at a certain point toward the end, she's losing her personalities that her husband has gotten to know and love. And as she's taking medication and as she is losing these personalities, he's saying goodbye to them for the last time. And it is
Oh
like
my
this
gosh.
heartbreaking, like one of them is like a 14-year-old boy, and he's like become this parental figure to his wife when she is this personality. It's just really complex.
Whoa.
That book, I remember the last few chapters, I had to fully stop for a while and just kind of like, yeah, forget
Wow.
about it because you get really wrapped up in it. And I, again, I can't really give away anything in this with Christian's plot, but there have definitely been some chapters where we need to kind of take a beat and get our bearings a bit.
I can definitely say when I was wrapping up, when I've been wrapping up, certain storylines have been very tough. Um, yeah, that one we've talked about with Christian, and then just a lot of other. I think for me, like, because I live and breathe these characters for years, it's very hard to set them down. So for me, that's
Hmm.
when, I am having to set them down, but then we go into the next serial. But I think that's when there's some emotional stuff there for me anyway. So I'm going to actually just go on to more of the Adam questions. I know there's other questions that are going on here. So I'll go back to you, Nathaniel. Adam, do you read the entire? This is the one where you said that you saw ahead, and you were like, "No, I don't."
I don't. I partly out of probably a little bit of laziness, but also I like cold reading. Like I said before, that was a skill I worked on developing early in my life, and I like reading a story fresh. I find often with both with on-screen acting and with voiceover stuff, I tend to take my first take as long as I didn't mess up any words, and as long as the writing is good and I can follow it. So I like being able to have impulsive reactions to what the characters are saying and what they're experiencing. So I like to not get too far ahead. I also find that I project some things, right? If I know that a
Mm,
character turns evil, or if I know that an evil character has this extremely redeeming quality or a story that justifies their evilness, I don't like to kind of give the audience too much of that information ahead of time, right?
right.
I want them to be able to experience it as I'm experiencing it, if that makes sense.
No, that totally does because you're like having the emotional beats like when the audience is too. So you're not
Hmm.
getting ahead of yourself. That makes sense to me.
Right.
So what is your favorite book to do? Again, he can't tell you all he's done unless it's an Adam Riley book, I guess.
Correct.
So,
There's been a few.
yes.
Again, I've been really surprised at some of the genres that I've ended up getting more work in. Again, like the action adventure genre has never totally been my thing. Uh, I love horror, but I've never really gotten to do a lot of it. So my favorite books, I guess,
Ooh.
that's the one I was talking about before, the Florida Keys adventure series. I'm really
Yeah,
liking
yeah.
that one, partly just because I feel a lot of loyalty to it. Anytime I finish those books, I feel like, oh, I hope this isn't the last one. Like, I don't want this to be me saying goodbye to these characters.
Stop. Yeah,
So
don't end, don't
I
end.
always write the author back, and I'm like, so when's the next one? Like, to make sure this isn't the last.
So Steven asks if you like Bradbury. I think he means Ray Bradbury, the Martian
Yes.
Chronicles. Do you have a favorite Bradbury book?
I do. I mean, I do. It's hack, but I really like Fahrenheit 451. I'd say my favorite though, just because I have a real soft spot for it, is Something Wicked This Way Comes. That was the
Oh yeah.
first. I read that as a kid and actually performed a scene from it weirdly, because it's a novel, like on stage. I just love it. I find it really scary, and I return to it. I try and read it every couple years. I'll go back to it when spooky season is upon us, and just to kind of get in the mood,
Nice.
because I think it's so his descriptions are so vivid, and some of those sentences really stick with me. And yeah, that book is just a trip. It has some wild themes about aging, and yeah, if you haven't read Something Wicked This Way Comes, please do. It's a good read.
That is so wild. Yeah. So here's another one. This is totally different. Totally different. If you would humor us for a second, imagine you were living in the Everdark universe and the characters you voice are real. Would you watch their show, believe their deal? Would you have done that? Would you watch their show on YouTube, do you think?
Yeah. I also read ahead and saw a question about if I believe in the supernatural. We'll get to that. I would. I'm totally drawn to that kind of stuff. Do I believe it? Maybe not, but I love it. I want to believe it. And so I would totally go on the journey here. I would be very skeptical, but I think like Christian, even if you're a skeptic, there's still a part of you that enjoys that kind of escapism and enjoys the hunt, and it's fun to watch somebody like Julian do what they love, pursue something that they're passionate about and be good at it and go on an adventure. I would totally watch it.
I think I would too, because their shows are not like the silly ghost shows where they actually have cameras pointed at the person
Yeah,
and not
right.
out. I'm like, well, why are we seeing your face and not what you're seeing?
Right.
I'm like, maybe because there's nothing there?
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
So, Adam, would you want to do another RR book? I hope so. I hope you want to do
Yes.
Everett Academy. If Raythe decides to make another audiobook, yeah. And like I said, I'd love it when we do other book series that maybe are not in Edward's, bailiwick, like a different type of character. I think Adam would be great.
Yeah,
Although
love
what
it.
we have done, Adam, is actually do Edward and Hannah, and I would love it if I could add you, and then we pay a rate and then they divide it. But I don't know if you want to do that. But it's like you would, because that would be a really nice thing to do opposite again. I really like
Sure.
it being like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Not through YouTube or Facebook. Yes, just sign up, Mari. But you're already a member. You're already a member. You're already a member. We have a Patreon, but we don't really do anything with it because we want people to I don't know. What thing you would do, Mari, is do free memberships for others. If you would like to, through the Discord, you can gift memberships. So if you would like to do that for somebody who can't afford it or somebody who'd like to try, Sophie would be able to help you with that. That would help us a lot. Lily, you're just amazing. You're just amazing. Stephen, thank you. No, I mean, really and truly, like, because this is one of the things that I wanted to sort of bring out, and I'm sorry, because I don't want to waste the time that Adam has here. I want him to talk, but I do want to let you guys know all of this is possible because of you, those of you who are members. Us being able to do this comes from your membership. It's like I don't just have this money lying around to just hire voice actors, even though they're giving us a really good deal and doing a lot of donated stuff. So I really can't tell you. Yes, Eleanor thought of it too. The gifting option is great. And Cersei did it. And everybody said it already. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, hold on. I'm going to go back to ones that are for me later because I will stay on after Adam. But I want to actually get to ones. So this was the one you talked about. To Adam, do you believe in the supernatural paranormal?
I'm gonna so let people down here. I don't. I wish I did.
Oh.
I love that genre though. Like I anything horror, anything supernatural, paranormal. I love reading about it. I love the shows. I would like pay to be able to stay overnight in haunted location. Like I want so
Yes.
deeply to believe it because I find it really challenging, but when it really comes down to it, I don't think I do. But I love the I love thinking about kind of the psychology of it and why people are drawn to it, why people believe it, the Ouija boards and all that stuff. I find so
Yes.
deeply fascinating. And I also don't, I don't believe in it. I don't disbelieve in it to the point of like judging people over their beliefs. I think it's lovely. But yeah, personally I have trouble squaring that.
I feel like Fox Mulder, I want to believe. I think
Yeah.
that is really what captures me. I want to believe.
Yeah.
But I haven't. And I've had experiences, but I'm like, maybe they can be explained. I don't know, man. Adam, do you ever get excited while doing a voiceover? Like, of course, you've read your part before, but like, do you get giddy because you're about to read a part you like?
Definitely. I love knowing I have a good, juicy scene coming up that's either very funny or very exciting, or is like a important plot point that I know the audience is going to be really invested in. I can sometimes feel a lot of pressure in those moments because I know there'll be parts that people are listening very intently to. So I can sometimes be a little bit more critical of my own performance, but definitely when I'm invested in the story like I am in this one, it's easy to get wrapped up in it and want to highlight those moments.
I love it. So I didn't realize we have Edward in the chat.
Yes.
So he is here too. I'm so glad he revealed himself because you didn't last time. And I was like, oh man. Oh man. Oh God, we're coming down to the wire here. I know we won't get all of the questions you guys have to Adam, but we will again. I hope he comes back, which he will, I think. We'll do this again. It's not the end of it. So, to Adam, have you ever broke out laughing because of something a character said? And if so, what did they say?
Definitely. I don't know that I could point to a specific line right now, but there have been multiple times we've had to retake something because it has totally taken me off guard. It was something that's been surprising to me in the book so far is how uh I went in anticipating, because of other books I've read in the genre, of these characters being extremely self-serious, especially Julian. I found Julian to he takes himself very seriously and the world very seriously, but he even has moments where he breaks out of that and he can acknowledge some things are funny.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I hope that, you don't break up because you're like, oh my God, what the hell did she mean to say in
No,
this sentence?
no.
Thankfully, that's been what I've been great is like when Edward's like fixed things and like when he's done the audio for us and there's an action, I'm like, oh, yes, that didn't make any sense. Thank you, Edward, for fixing that.
Yeah.
So for Adam, what is your favorite scene that has been released so far?
The one that's been released so far, I was just catching up the other day. I was saying I think I have one chapter left just to know what has been released publicly. I really like the scene where Damon is waking up, and it's kind of that negotiating that Julian is doing, trying to figure out what's worth. He's being forced into this impossible situation. The tension in that scene is insane, and I really enjoy that. I enjoy kind of the stakes there. As well as a description, kind of entering Everdark for the first time and seeing, I have a really vivid image in my mind of what everything looks like in that sequence.
When I was rereading that to edit it, I was like, wow, I'm like, this is not typical vampire stuff. And yet it seemed like I had a really well thought out plan for that. I have to admit, I don't know that I did. I'm not quite sure I did until I was in it. So Adam, this will be your last question.
Oh,
But
boy.
I think for this session, guys,
Yes.
hopefully it'll come back. Adam, what do you find most rewarding about your career?
Oh boy, that's a heavy question. I find so much rewarding about this career. I think, honestly, probably kind of the unpredictability of it. I find it's something that I think would scare a lot of people off of what I do. There's not a lot of job security or consistency, certainly, but that's kind of the thing I find rewarding about it. I like that every day is kind of a new adventure. I don't know what auditions I might get. I don't know what types of characters I might get to play. And as soon as I think that I have a handle on that kind of stuff, as soon as I think I have a grasp of the types of roles I do and kind of where my career is headed, every time I'm thrown a total curveball. So again, I was saying before, I went through a stretch of really just playing villains, playing these kind of
Yes.
wealthy sons of jerks, and it really, for a while, that was all I was getting. And then I just came off of 2 films in a row that were very heartwarming Christmas movies, playing queer
Oh.
characters, and it was like just throwing total curveballs. So that's the part about this job I find really exciting, and I think what will keep me doing it, hopefully, for years and years to come. I don't find it boring ever.
That is the best thing you can say about a job. I mean, that it's not boring and that you're like, I'm looking forward to what's coming. So that
Yeah.
is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I think like Full Moon Witch's comment, Adam's great is absolutely what sums up everything about
Thank you so much. Oh, I really appreciate it. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, and I feel like we could honestly keep going for hours, which is
Truly.
awesome. So that makes them hungry for more. I will ask, obviously, when Adam has time to do this again. We are trying to do maybe once a month or whatever. September might be a little bit tough for me because honestly, I have 2 books and anyway, it's not happening. October is going to be the next one. So hopefully you can come in October and Edward can come in October. And maybe we
Definitely.
can get Bruno to come. We will see.
Hey.
Maybe, I know. But Arceus is like a big fan favorite. So now Jay has to get on the line, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, September
yeah.
is not happening, says the
No, I
project
know.
manager. No.
Like, Ray,
Kat says
stop.
no.
Kat says no. All right, fine. All right. Well, Adam, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you take care of yourself and good luck and everything. And I can't wait when we get together again to do questions just behind the scenes.
You bet. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been so much fun, and thank you for all your support and listening every week. I can't wait for the next one. It's a blast.
Awesome. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so I'm going to stay on. Kat and I are going to stay on for a while, so I hope you guys still will stay on for a bit.
Great. I have
Mari.
such an idea.
Oh,
I
God.
cannot wait to send this to you. I am getting such an idea for the future.
Oh my lord. Oh my lord. I'm scared and excited at the same time. So
You should
Mari,
be.
oh God, good lord, Mari, that's a huge sacrifice because Netflix just always has something new going on, and the very thought of it is just like, oh my God. But legit, like without the membership, we could never have done this. Without, and I will say, without her Grace Reads, without Edward and Hannah being so amazing. I mean, because by the way, those are the guys, like Hannah did all the auditions. Like Edward listened to all of this and made decisions and made, so all of this, like with them, they have been more than full partners in doing this. But you guys are what made this happen, what made this even possible to have happen, because Everdark is legitimately like asking these guys to do 7 to 10 audiobooks back to back with a full cast. It's insane. Totally insane. So, Paloma, I honestly, I wasn't even aware of the fact that it was just one voice actor. Yeah, I know, because he does them so differently. I had not really thought of, quite frankly, Julian with a Southern accent, but it actually works for who he is. And the idea that it's the Matthew McConaughey, perfect. That makes so much sense to me. Edward may have already left, but Raythe, I think I want to host a live stream and ask. Oh God, our behind the scene chats are amazing. Sometimes go far afield. Oh, thank you. I can't wait to have you back again, Edward. I know people are dying. You stayed for like 2.5 hours, and
That
there
was
were more
fun.
questions.
That
And
was so
I mean, I
fun.
was like, even now, I feel like people are like, Edward, like, it just like really at Edward. Yeah, awesome. And then Adam, there's still so many questions and we couldn't get to them. And I'm probably like, Raythe, shut up. They want to talk to Adam and not you right now. Adam is awesome. So the demonic gremlin, I got my fiance into the podcast. She adored Damon. And her favorite moment so far was when he appeared as a river of wolves. Yes, that's coming up, guys. A river of wolves. My favorite is Balthazar. My favorite is Balthazar, too, to be honest with you.
I'm
It's,
Team K-Morn.
yeah. K-Morn has got his groupies. We have to convince Bruno to come on.
Yes.
I just, he really was so like, I don't understand, because he hadn't read the later scenes with K-Morn, and then he's like, oh, okay. Okay, what are we going on here? Edwards. Oh, my membership is oh my God, Cersei's Land. Thank you. We don't say it enough. I just feel like we don't say it enough, because I know, you guys, how hard it is to pay for things when inflation sucks, when gas is huge, when all of this has gone up. And Wraith Rain, you don't need it to live, right? You don't need it to live. And it's not like Netflix where you have, entertainment all the day. Although we really do have enough stuff now that you could just be seriously reading for months and not get through everything. But still, it's a big deal. A big deal that you do this. So which I don't know if someone asked this already, but how did Adam record the dialogues? He says he actually goes through and reads Christian once all the way through for like, and then he does Julian. He doesn't switch between them. Edward switches between them, I think. Edward will correct me if he's still on the stream. But Adam does it that way, so his voices keep different. Definitely keep going on. Honestly, I'm doing a shit job of it, Cersei. So I'm like, oh my God. Who doesn't like a redemption arc? Cat is a big meanie pants as well. Won't let me overextend myself. Honest to God. Thank you. So all the characters are so beautifully human and fleshed out, Raythe, and it's inspiring. I really feel like in my writing, I get to make the world how I wish it would be. And even those that seem irredeemable or who are difficult, who are unpleasant, or who have other things going on with them, being able to peel back those layers and saying, no, they are worthwhile individuals too. But they just have this hard, thorny, spiky shell because the world hasn't maybe been too good to them. I think that that's what I've learned in life about, some of my friendships with people have been that. So, yeah. Thank you so much, Mari, for reminding everybody. Please do like and support the stream. Share if you can. So, Anesh and Wesha, I'm so sorry I'm butchering your name. I'm so sorry. Raythe, how do you plan out what to write next? Does it come randomly and organically to you, or you have to sit and think about it? Mainly like the genres and all. Both. It's actually a situation with both, where I said for this next one that I'm planning, which is called The Night Prince, the idea started percolating, and it felt like it was something that could be on the site because I haven't had any elves in a while. But I really want to do something like Everdark and Dragon's Reign in the sense that it's modern day. I didn't want to do another high fantasy because I'm doing high fantasy with the Wicked Path, which is completely different. It's more like Wheel of Time stuff there. But I wanted high fantasy yet in the modern world, sort of like definitely an urban fantasy, like a almost like Bright, but very different. So we have some of the art coming up for that. That serial will not start until November, based on the fact that we have so much happening. In September, Sinners and Ashes 6 will drop. Members will get it free with their membership, and we have to celebrate that. October, the end of Volume 1 of Everdark. Volume 2 starts posting. So that we have to celebrate that. That's going to be a big... It's like having a launch now with Everdark every about 3 months, which is a lot more work than you think. We have to get the audiobook ready, the ebook, and the hardback ready. So all of that has to be done, and all the new art has to be done, and all this other stuff. And then in November, I want to actually start The Night Prince, so it gets time to breathe, and people get into the characters and everything like that. And then I know that for my next book series, which I'm not having out there quite yet, will actually be an urban fantasy vampire series that is very different than Everdark, but we shall see. It shall have more of a, what is that terrible Vin Diesel movie? Oh my God, there's so many of them, but it was like based on his D&D character, and I see it being more like a world like that. That's a little bit more magical than what we've got going on here. So that's coming. So got CNA 5 on pre-order. Can't wait for it to drop. I am so excited. I know Edward and Hannah are working very hard on that. Just like I'm working that man ragged. Those two of them are being worked ragged. Kat nicely like explains what's going on. Don't worry if you're repeating it. If I've missed it, please repeat it. Repeat your questions. Oh, Raythe, I found you writing just last week, and I'm already a screeching eldritch blob of embarrassment. I love it. I love that description. I'm using that somehow. I'm using that. So I know this was to Adam. I don't know if he's learned any. I doubt he's learned anything on Everdark. I think he's such a skilled actor. They all are. They're teaching me so much stuff. I think what's been so refreshing, and I've really have felt like this greatest sense of imposter syndrome with them, because they are, these professional people, and here I am with my little stories going, would you read this for me? I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so lovely. Thank you, Vampire Ivy, and I love your name. Sheba Dog squeezing a big red heart. I love it. I think that is the battle cry of the Republic here. K-Morn. I'm so glad you found us through. So they basically say, I discovered you guys recently through Dragon's Reign on Spotify. I'm so glad about it. I am so in love with your stories and all the characters you portray in them. Now a glad member of your site. That's amazing. That's what we hope, that people are like, oh, I found you on Spotify. I found you on YouTube. I found you on Facebook. And you sign up or do what you can. It's like, it lets us do the most amazing, amazing things, in all honesty. All right. You know, I'd love to have, like I said, I always like teased Edward that I just wanted to hear what he'd do for Honestly Dragon's Reign or some of the others, just to hear what he'd do. So, oh, Mari. Oh, shh. That's amazing. Thank you. So, K. Warren is a big he is very much one of the stars of Academy, which I was surprised. It did surprise me. I was very like, oh, wow. Oh, thank you, Abby. Yes, I think that that's very true. And he's just like, especially coming up. Hot villains are always awesome. They are. So I'm just like, imagine like Adam. I could totally see how Adam would be someone you wouldn't suspect as as a villain. And then it's like, aha, he really is. Yes, Lurleen, you will. But I've had to juggle so many characters. I've had to drop some things that were less important. I have mentioned that they are interested in, certain. I think Jack is interested in becoming a Warren, whereas Joanna is interested in becoming Wyvern. So we'll see that. Lily is the leader of the K-Morn fan club. Do not be ashamed. All right, this was another Adam question. He did tell me that he does it all separately. So he does Christian's and then he'll do all of Julian's. I know, right, Stephen? I mean, that was like, Brandish had some of the hottest scenes with Sean, which was interesting to do that. I really loved when I actually with the book I did of that I just absolutely loved extending that a lot and making it much more interesting. Oh, that was another Adam question. There's so many. There's so many that we missed. Oh, I hope he just check this out later and see some of this. I think that, so Abby says, it blows me away finding out that the main characters are voiced by just two people. You guys are doing a fantastic job. You got this. Thank you. Yes. It's amazing. So Edward plays Damon and Balthazar. Adam plays Christian and Julian. Bruno plays K-Morn. Jay plays Arceus. Hannah plays Fiona and Sophia. And now we have, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name, but the new actress who is going to play Seer, who's spectacular. So it's pretty cool.
How many actors do we have now on the podcast? I have lost count. I thought it was 5 and then it wasn't.
No, because there's another artist who's also doing it. It's like 6 or 6.
7.
Maybe 7.
Maybe with the, yeah.
Some of them are just doing it for fun, which I'm like, that's amazing. Wait, wasn't Adam also one of the voiceovers that played D&D as a hobby other than Edward, or am I hugely mistaken? He may. I'll have to ask him. I'm not sure if he does that. He may. I know Edward's the big D&D fan with me. So, oh, Pablo. And to tell Raythe how much joy this series has been adding to my life. Bravo to you both and all the cast. Thank you, guys. it's so amazing to know that it's meant so much to you, because I don't know about you, but art has always been the thing that's gotten me through, right? Yeah, it's not going to put food on the table and it's not going to put a roof over my head, but those stories have always like made my heart beat faster. Greta says, I agree with Adam. This is one reason why I love Raythe's stories. The other is because she makes me believe the paranormal more than I already do. Nice. Nice. So we are definitely going to do October another live. I sincerely hope that Edward at least would be able to do in October. But I really hope others get on too. I really, really do. Although honestly, like then we could go for like 5 hours. What I'd really like, I'm like, I'd love to play like D&D with Edward. I think that would be a blast. So glad you could show up, Abby. Cannot wait. Halloween is coming. Halloween is coming. I do too, Mari. Oh. Yeah, I cried when I was doing some of Dragon's Reign. It was very hard.
You cried when you were recording it, and I had to edit
Yes.
it.
Yes. That's embarrassing because Kat was like, yeah, I got that. I was like, my voice was getting thick and I couldn't do it. I was like, ooh.
It actually wasn't as bad as you thought. Like anything that you think is terrible, it's not as bad as you hear when you're recording yourself.
Well, you
But you know
also
what
do
is
your
bad?
magic. Huh.
You know what is bad is when you point the microphone directly at the AC vent. That's bad. I can't do anything about that.
Come now. Come now.
Okay, so usually I'm your Shioni, but today I think I'm your Gehenna.
Yes, you are my Gehenna today. You are my Gehenna. Let's say, Sarah says, I know and on EOS sometimes I have to take a break from reading Koth's chapter because his unraveling his prejudice and his family trauma is quite similar to my own process right now. Wow. I think Koth really to me has also been that thing of just seeing how much prejudice is inside of me that creeps in there. Assumptions that are underlying what I think are factual beliefs and are not. And it's like, oh, 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 oh. So that makes me just, basically think about it a lot too. So, Cersei's Land says, I want to thank you for writing stories that have controversial topics. Growing with the characters as you read on is cathartic. Thank you. Also, Cersei's Land had some very good feedback for me. I won't go into all of it because I don't know if they want me to mention it, but they did send it separately. When I am a white lady of a certain age. I will put that out there. So if I do something that misrepresents culture, race, something, please let me know. I assure you, I'm trying to be as respectful as I can, but I know I get it wrong. And quite frankly, letting me know is really lovely. And that's the only way, it's not the only way I learn. I try to do my research, but when you are coming into something, sometimes you don't even know to research something before you do it. So anyway, thank you so much. I didn't get a chance to personally thank you, but I wanted to let you know that I'm very appreciative of what you did. Yeah, I really love horror, Cersei's Land. I really love some horror. I hope you have enjoyed dinner. Just go have dinner, have a good time. So when Dragonman ended, I cried for this. Oh, that's so sweet. Yes. And Wesha, I think that I only do HEAs. I only do happy ever afters, no matter what happens. We tried. I know we missed so many people's questions. I think when Adam did explain this to me too, he really found it surprising that characters he thought were going to go one way are not, or that something happens in the story that completely turns it on its head. Edward also mentioned that he felt that it changed things. Adam did say that he would be open to me talking about that. Yes, he is. So yes. So I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to have him speak onto that because I think that's very important. next time. So Pablo says his best investment ever, doing our small part to help the most amazing author keep these fabulous tales coming and having podcasts like this. Yes. Again, I feel like I don't mean to keep like banging this drum, but you guys, like every dollar, every dime, every penny goes to make art. That's what we do. It's our passions. Really is. You know, it really and truly is. So Adam did answer this. He says he's more similar to Christian. I think so too, Shandara. So she says they say thank you so much for doing all of this. It adds a level way more personal than just reading can offer us. I mean, I'm giddy each time I get to talk to all of them. And it's like, that's the character. Like, no, that's the person, Catherine. I know. There we go. So everyone sings hello to Edward. Let's go here. Let's go here. So Adam did spend more time than he probably had today. Oh, thank you, Pablo, again. So there's so many thanks to Adam. I do hope he gets a chance to look this over again because I did not get a chance to go through all of this when he was here. I sincerely hope they do. I sincerely hope they do one. Edward had this great idea that he wanted to actually do a chapter live with the people, to, like them all like acting while people listen, which would be amazing. But that would be a lot. Okay, going through scrabbling here. Yeah, there's so many comments to Adam. I just really hope he just checks this out later. I would love that, but yeah, I'm sure, especially with their cutting back, they wouldn't do it. But it would be amazing, wouldn't it? Like, oh God, I always think like, am I doing something that would be too stupid to be in a movie? Do I have a favorite yaoi author? I do not. I do not really. I actually don't read in my genre because a lot of it is pure romance, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I am more interested in action adventure, urban fantasy, high fantasy. Um, but
Yeah, but those are your genres.
They are my genres. You're right.
Like, I think to call
Yeah.
the stuff romance is not right. It's romantic.
It's romantic, right? So yeah, it's just not. It's to me that's more like focusing on basically the romance more than I do in my sense. So yeah, can you imagine if it was a series or a movie? That'd be amazing. But honestly, this is like the first. This may be like having a cast like this do it, at least reading it is a step towards that, right? Because I mean, my dream for us is to have live action. That's what we want eventually. And this is pretty damn close. So, okay, let's see here. Ah, Edward. That's just so lovely. I mean, I hope it's fun for them because, in all honesty, hearing from you guys immediately, whether it's in the comments on the chapters, the reviews, the emails, or on YouTube especially, it makes the hard work of doing the art worth it. I can honestly tell you that writing, it's a slog. I mean, I love it and yet I hate it and it's hard and it's rewarding. It's all these things. But I tell you, knowing that I'm going to get within a few moments a comment, knowing that someone's reading it and it matters to them, oh my God, it makes it all worth it. All worth it. Yes, there is a Discord. I'm sure that Kat will put up that link in the, if she hasn't already, she probably has. Okay. What do we got going on here? I found your writing last week and involved into a squealing. That's, yeah. Okay, I got that one. That was awesome. Oh, Edward. Group hug. This went back up again. What the hell? The Witch Hunter. Shandara, that's right. Oh, sweet. That's right. He is in England. It would be awesome. Okay. Let's see here. Plus, you write stories you cannot get anywhere. And to be honest, you and your greater community feel a very safe to enjoy stories beautifully and lovingly hanging in all the feels. Yes. By the way, like everyone, we've been so lucky, like in our little corner of the internet. Lily's like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear Elgar's voice. I know. I know. I wonder who they're going to have play him. I'm curious. I am so curious. Honestly, one of my favorites of the Dark Earth series, so modern day elves would be yes. Yes, that's what's coming up next. The Witch Hunter. Yeah, I know that sounds terrible, but the world building around that was interesting. All right. Hold on.
We saw that movie. Do you remember?
We went to the movie theater. Yes, we did, and saw that there. It was just hysterical. Let's see. God, I'm so behind on these comments, man. Sleep is secondary to me right now. I understand that. I agree with Shandara. I'm so happy for tons of stories filled with such wonderful and diverse cast that all bring something to the table. You definitely have a permanent fan in me and my fiance. Oh, that's absolutely lovely. Raythe, I know you don't do streamy straight scenes anymore, but not to put in any spoilers, the straight couple who gets together at the end of Everdark, steamy scene with them. Oh. I always can do it. This is the joy of the serial site. Because I've just decided I felt I was being way too tight reined in Everdark Academy. I'm like, wait a minute, I can do a chapter from Elgar's point of view. I'm like, of course I can. I don't have to stick to anything. I can do all of them because people want to see that. It does not have to, it's not structured like a book. It's not structured like a book. And that's the excitement of it. Advice Rain, before you said that you're not as good as others in world building, but I disagree. I love the way you do your building. I get so absorbed by it. I have improved. And I have worked closely with Kat and Sophia to make the worlds better and better and better. I will definitely say that. Skinny Blackface, I feel I missed part of the conversation. Raythe reads out texts I haven't seen in the chat. Is there more than one chat? Yes, there's Facebook and there's YouTube. So I try to read them out. Oh, oh my God. Edward might do it. Dragon's Reign, guys. And I second this now. Oh my God. And now he's teasing all of us. Oh my goodness. Hey, Claude. I was just listening because I was drawing. I enjoy so much all those versions of your stories. It's been my weekly gift for years. Each time it's such a pleasure. Hearing our sweet boys coming to audio life is just great. It is. It totally, totally is. It totally is. Draken and Sanctuary. Love them both. Nice. I love those too. Yeah, there's 30 completed serials, guys. There's it's ridiculous amounts of writing on there. Over 10 million words or something, Kat, when we last estimated. Good Lord. Have I ever written something and just internally collapsed in embarrassment? Yes, that would be one whole story where I just won't even name it because I know some people love it.
I tease her about it all the time.
It's the absolute worst. I people say it's not, but I really feel it is. Yeah, easily, Greta. It really could be. Especially, I'm gonna warn those guys when we have more than one of them on that it's gonna be I'd if they could set aside 3 hours, but that's a lot. I think we wouldn't even get through all the questions.
That's a lot of talking too for you.
It is. It is. It is. Yes, but arranging that on Oscaria is like really tough because I mean, as it was, Adam was on a movie set until very recently, and then so getting him in was just really tough. Um, I love that you're here. Thank you for being here. Really and truly. Yes, Liz Gentile and Kelly Michaels. Oh, they're both so good. They're both so good. Liz does Seer. Kelly has done a bunch of characters, small characters. I hope she does more. Dragon's Reign saved me. I found it during a really low mental state. Oh, God, Mari. I'm so glad that it had any good, to be honest with you, any good effect. Raythe family is the best. Okay, wait, keep going. Yeah, Matthias art is really what sold it to people, I think. Definitely. Oh, I'm so sorry you're done with COVID. It's quite late in the Netherlands, so go to bed. Go get rest. That you've been here as you are. I'm just still going through to make sure at least I get to where the chat is fresh. Yeah, it's done. I never say never right now. Believe me, Aniqua. I can definitely basically see it. Good night, Paloma. So Ryan joined as a member on the site a few weeks ago after finding Dark Earth on Spotify. I mean Everdark on Spotify, and then devoured Sinners and Ashes on Kindle, one of my top 5 series of all time, and really loving Everdark thus far. Thank you. This is all about. Hold on a second here. Third time with COVID. Good Lord, my dear. Raythe, do you read any books like The Grand Master of Demonic Cultivation or Heaven's Official Blessing? I do not. Are those good? I really, like I said, I like listening to stuff and I like watching stuff. Because, in all honesty, I'm like, uh, my eyes just can't take more reading. So, Shadar says, getting some authentic queer representation where it's beautiful and full and well written is something very dearly needed. Yes. There are no, gays who are going to be dying or fridged or anything. We're not doing that. It's just not. I'm sorry. Absolutely not. Yes, we do. I definitely agree with you, Paloma, about yaoi is just sexual according to Japanese. It was broadened a bit. I don't know. I'm never up on the total in the vernacular anymore. Um, Hold on one second here. I'm sorry. I'm going through. Everybody, I know you're going to bed, and then it's just like, we will do a live episode as per Edward's idea. Maybe the fans could choose a chapter. That would be amazing. It's just you, Hannah. It's you. I think it's you. Oh my God, I live for the art. Not gonna lie, I've thought about getting the school created tattoos. I mean, like, we have had several people get tattoos of art from the stories. So it's really been amazing. Baleen, I've been a member on and off since the days of the Abyss, which was a long time ago. While life had sometimes allowed me to stay in a membership all the time, I always come back to it. You're amazing. Thank you. Thank you. That's what a lot of people have done over the time. Um, Good night, good night, good night. Oh, thank you. Yes, Abyss is special. I tried reading it, but it was way too creepy. It was way too it was like I knew that YouTube would never like this. If they got rid of us again, that would be the story that would do it. All right, I better not put that up, and I just put that up. People are very excited about the idea of Edward doing some Dragon's Reign. I am very excited for it because he has done some version of King Valerius. Oh, I love this. Please, I want Dragon's Reign live action. It's hard. You just need a small budget like Game of Thrones. I know, right? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh goodness. Yeah, there are no bearing your gaze. Not in this household. Never. No. Yes, but it's still a ways off. I feel like I concluded most of that, and there's just this last thing sitting out there, and I have to get back to that story. Believe me, I do. But I need it to be in my head. We're so glad you're here. Yes, there's some darkness in that, man. Some darkness. Good night, good night, good night. No, Greta, because I have found that they just are not as popular as other things. Cries and project manager, huh, Kat? Oh, God. Says, I think that, yes, that they've all left the chat, so this is good, but goodness. As someone who's non-binary and trans, who's marrying my incredible trans fiance, we love the representation and the massive amount of what feels like never-ending novels. We love it. Oh, thank you! I'm trying to get better and better. Like I said, Cersei's Land gave me some really good feedback. I'm really happy about it. I love how like Sophie's like, if in the DR live action to reduce the cost of the dragons, we could hire real ones instead of doing them CGI. I agree. I think practical effects and in Dragon's Reign will be definitely necessary. We could definitely pull some dragons in. They'll be all good. I think that would be awesome. Then we would get two versions of Dragon's Reign talking about getting spoiled. Haha. I would love to see these great actors doing that, but yours is incredible in itself, Raythe. So moving and wonderful. Yeah, if I hadn't done it myself, that would be the one that I would be asking them to do. Dragon's Reign is like a lot. Really, I think the Night Prince is going to be another one of those that's just going to shine. Palomas says, honestly, the amount of people in the Everdark world that goes by they, them pronouns is something that people do not question in that world and is so refreshing and great to read. Yes, we have a lot of non-binary people. We have a lot of that's coming in. Yeah, that's sort of how we're trying to do it. Thank you. And it's not even something that I wanted people to question. By the way, just going back to that, I just wanted it to be just something that was, as it always had been, and not any big deal. I think you guys are going to really like it. Kat can corroborate this, but the art is truly, truly spectacular.
Oh yeah, the art's great.
Yeah, it's really, I think Mathia topped herself. To Raythe, do you miss writing any characters from any other stories? Yes, absolutely. I do. I miss a lot of them. A lot of them. Good night, Shiro. Good night. We're going to wind it down in just like 5 more minutes or shorter, but I also wanted to say I adore the voice actors, but I also loved your reading of Dragon's Reign. I love the laughs and the rereading because it made me feel like I was right there reading together with you, especially with the meowing. I think that added a special something. Added a special something. Yes, definitely go back to the Discord. There's a lot on there. Mathia's art just startlingly beautiful. Oh, thank you. Yes, that would be. Actually, Sophie did Elgar. She did a great Elgar run, which I hope she shares. I think she has. The meow at the beginning is still with me. Yes, it was that was Cat's cat. Mine is
He is
asleep now
loud.
beside me. Oh, he's so loud and whiny.
My cat is a loud individual.
Whiny, 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 whiny. Oh, he's so cute though. In any event. Okay, so I'm going to wind this up because my voice is dying. I had such a great time, you guys. This was really spectacular. Um, I mean, really and truly spectacular. You were so kind to Adam, as always. Answer this one last question here. Raythe, I was wondering, do you model your characters around people in your life, or are the aspects a part of yourself somehow? Both. But they're not, they're pulled from lots of different places. Lots of different places. Lurleen, I know, and you can say that for sure. You've been with me the whole time. Excellent. I love it. So we've really and truly just had like such a fantastic time today. Oh, thank you, Edward. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, everybody. All right, so I hope you are all well. We will have the Empire of Stars live stream next month, and that's the only one, Kat. I admit that's the only one we're doing. If you can, it would be great if you send it for Raythe Rain, especially for next month, as you will get for free the Cinders and Ashes Book 6 as part of your membership. You will also get discounts in terms of like the audiobooks and all this kind of stuff. You will also get discounts in terms of something else that's coming out next month. Totally new manga, which I cannot wait to share with you. So September is the month to sign up for Raythe Rain to get lots of stuff added to your membership that's just the base stuff. So I can honestly say I am so excited to share this all with you. I am so excited to keep going. And I really do think that doing the Everdark podcast was the best decision we ever made. And I'm so grateful to Her Grace Reads and everybody involved with that, and Kat and all of you for supporting it as you have. All right, take care, you guys, and we will talk soon.